Welcome back to part 6 of this Hexi cardigan crochet along. Today we are going to be working on the width and the length. So do you remember last time we wrote down on the other side how many extra rows we had to do to make it the right width? I have got 12 extra to do, so I'm going to start with the 12 and then next week we'll do the width. But yeah, let's get started. So we should still be attached. What I'm just about to do is pin my arms together because I don't want to accidentally add any more width to my arms. So I'm just going to very carefully pin that bit to there, hoping that I haven't trapped this bit inside because we want to work on this. And then I'm going to turn my cardigan around so that I've got the top of the arm sideways, and we are just going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to whack a cluster in here. Cluster, remember, is 3, but we've already got 1, so it's actually only 2. And then I'm going to work down the length. So what should happen is you'll work down the front, round the bottom, and then you'll walk back up the back. So that's us started on this row, and I will catch you when we get to near the end of this row so I can show you what to do on the other side. So we are just approaching the corner that's going to take us from the front of the cardigan to the bottom. So I'm going to whack a cluster in here, cluster in here. But when you get to the end of the front and the start of the bottom, what you need to do is a cluster, then chain 2, and then turn, and then another cluster goes in the same space to make the corner. So now we're on the bottom. There we go, and then we keep just whacking clusters in until we get to the next corner, and then I will rejoin you. Just keep putting clusters all the way along. So now we're approaching the bottom corner that's going to go up the back. So we're just going to whack another cluster in here. Oops. Then we've got our corner, so we're going to whack a cluster in there. Followed by a chain 2 and another cluster in the same space. You can spin your work if it helps. And then you're going to keep working clusters in all these chain spaces. And I will meet you when we get near the end of this row. So we are nearly at the end of the row going up the back of the cardigan. So we're going to whack a cluster in here. It's a little bit awkward now because the two bits are pinned together, but that's okay. So now where the stitch marker is here, we're going to whack a cluster. So just 3 doubles, 1, oops, 2, and 3, and that's the end of that row. So what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're then going to turn our work like this, and then we are going to put a cluster into this chain space. So that's 1, that'll stand on its own, and we're going to put a cluster into this chain space. So 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to work back down the back of the cardigan until we get to the corner, and I will meet you there. So here we are, we're at the bottom of the back and we're just starting to go along the bottom. So we've got a cluster in here, and then we're at the corner which changes from the back to the bottom. So we're going to do a cluster in there, 1, 2, 3, then we're going to chain 2, oops, or not, we're going to lose the stitches, come on Gina, there you go, right, 2, and then we're going to do another cluster in here, 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to whack a cluster in this space, and we're going to just put clusters all the way to the other corner, so I will meet you there. So we are now at the, or very nearly at the corner which goes from the bottom of the cardigan back up the front. So we are just going to whack a cluster in the corner, then we're going to chain 2, then we're going to whack another cluster in the same space, and then we're going to work back up the front. I will see you when we get to the end of the row. And now you're joining me at the end of the row. So what we're going to do is put a cluster in here, but you'll notice there's no chain space, so let me show you. Put a cluster in here, 1, 2 and 3, and then what we're going to do is put a double into the top of that chain space. I actually just split the stitches. I don't necessarily go through the chain space, I just split the stitches. It works okay. And then what you're going to do is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and you are going to turn. And then you're going to put 2 doubles in there because there's a chain space, 1, 2, and a cluster in the next one. You just keep going. All the rows are the same, so it's literally just how you start it off. Then when you get to the corner here, you do cluster, chain 2, cluster. When you get to this corner, it's cluster, chain 2, cluster, and then when you get back up to this end, I will come back to you. So we're almost at the end of the 3rd row. Let's see what we need to do. We need to pop a cluster into here, 1, 2, 3, and then we pop a cluster into this space here, 1, 2 and 3, and then we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, return our work, and we pop a cluster into this space here. So 1, 2, 3. I am on row 4 of 12. Hopefully you've written down how many rows you need, so I will see you when I get to the end of my row 12. Have fun. Oh my gosh, it's not a good start, is it? There we go. See you when you get to the end of your row. So here we are, almost at the end of my row 12. Just going to whack a cluster in here, cluster in the next one, and then a double in the top of the chain, and that's the end of the width of this cardigan. We are going to fasten off because next week for part 7 we're going to be working on the length. And for the length, we don't start here, so fasten off, just like that. And then, yeah, next week, we're going to be working just along the bottom to add some length. So I need to do 10 rows. But yeah, catch me next week. Thank you for joining me.